Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Five Door Media Podcast, where we are talking about financial clarity right here in season five. From cash flow to compensation, pricing to profit margins, this season is all about building a business that doesn't just clean houses, but it creates lasting wealth for the owner. Today, we're joined by Lynn Askin, a lifelong entrepreneur, certified EOS implementer, certified outgrow advisor, and a certified exit planning advisor. After 26 years of running a successful digital marketing agency, Lynn now spends his time helping entrepreneurial leadership teams clarify their vision, instill discipline and accountability, and build healthier, more cohesive companies. He's facilitated hundreds of EOS sessions, coached over 300 marketing agencies worldwide, and brings a rare blend of experience in growth, sales, strategy, and exit planning. Lynn's mission is simple: help business owners build the companies and the lives that they originally dreamed of. And today we are digging into how EOS brings clarity, control, and confidence into growing your business. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Drew. It's great to be here. It's going to be an exciting show.
I love that. And I'm excited. Honestly, a lot of times on this show, we have people in the cleaning industry, and I'm pumped every time we get someone who's outside of this industry. I'm a big believer that you can learn things to increase your company no matter what industry you are in. You can learn things from people that are outside of that industry to help grow your company as well. So, you and I obviously know each other through the digital marketing agency world. We're in a mastermind together. And when we were brainstorming, people to have on the podcast for this season, you popped into my brain because I think financials, money, just the conversation of building wealth as an entrepreneur, if there is anything that people really struggle with to get clarity on, I think it is the financial side of things. And I know with your strong EOS background, if you guys know anything about EOS, clarity is the name of the game, right? So I'm super pumped for you to be on this show, on this episode, and bring some value to our listeners.
Thank you. I think this is going to be a great conversation. EOS is, of course, the entrepreneurial operating system. It's basically just a framework for running your business. And so I'm excited to see how that apply against industry agnostic. And so it's not just for marketing agency, it's not just for restaurants. It's a great system.
100%. And let's dive into it from there. I want to talk about why EOS, because I know it's going to be talked about a lot during this conversation today. So I kind of like set the tone there for people who have heard of EOS, but maybe aren't totally clear on what it is. Walk us through a little bit longer of an elevator speech of what is the entrepreneurial operating system, what it actually is, and why it's such a powerful framework for, like you just said, it's small business owners in general, not just marketing agencies as we are, or cleaning companies as people that are listening to this show, just small business owner in general. You've worked with hundreds of agency owners and other businesses and the leadership teams within those businesses. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs feel stuck in that cycle of chaotic growth? And how does EOS help them break out of that? Let's start there.
Well, I think that a lot of us start our businesses because I don't know, maybe we're good at something and maybe we see an opportunity and then we get started. And I don't know, maybe Sally's selling pie, maybe her friends are like, oh my God, these are great. You should sell more of you should start a business. You could sell a lot of these and you'd get rich. And then Sally thinks that's a great idea. And so she goes out and she starts to sell pies. And then she realizes there's a lot more to it than just that. I mean, now the volume increases. We have to increase the availability of our product and services. We have to be able to get the supplies. Now we've got to do marketing. Now we're doing sales. Now we're doing operations and delivery. Now we got finances and taxes. And it isn't the dream that we all thought. We start our business. We think we're going to have all this free time and this freedom. We're going to have a lot more money. We're going to have a lot more time. We're going to have our weekends off. And as it turns out, for most of us, that isn't the case at all. And so what EOS is, it is a framework or a simple set of tools or disciplines that help you manage that human capital in your business, manage all of the moving pieces and parts in your business so that you can actually build a better business and live a better life. And what we do when we work with leadership teams is we really help them get better at three things. And we call that vision, traction, and healthy. And by vision, what I want to do is I want to help you and your leadership team get 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. by traction, I want to help instill that discipline and accountability so that no matter where you look in your business, you see people executing on that vision. And then by healthy, that's really just about making you guys a more cohesive, functional, fun-loving team that likes to work together. Because let's be honest, sometimes we're not. And what we find is as the leadership team goes, so goes the rest of the organization. Ultimately, you get to the point where everybody on your team, from top to bottom, is clear in our vision, knows exactly where we're going, how we're going to get there, has discipline and accountability, so they're all working towards this shared vision. And then, of course, we all are getting along, working together as a cohesive bunch of people that actually enjoy spending time together. And so EOS is a framework that helps you do all of those things.
I love that. And the pie example that you gave, I know maybe you don't know a lot about this, like residential cleaning industry or the cleaning industry as a whole, but like you just described, I think the high majority of business owners in this world. Literally, they start off like, "Oh, you keep your house so clean. Hey, could you clean my house?" And they pick up a few houses, or maybe they, "Oh, I don't know. It's a little side job. You all pick up like a few neighborhood houses. I'll clean some houses." And then that picks up. Like I've used the term a lot on this show. There's a lot of like accidental entrepreneurs in the cleaning industry. There are people that have like accidentally fell into this business ownership world. That's very common in the cleaning industry. So I think the people listening to this, you're preaching to the choir, right? And especially when it comes to finances, when it comes to money, when it comes to payroll, when it comes to taxes, when it comes to revenue, profit, all of those things, they didn't go to school for this a lot of the time, right? They are like learning on the fly of how this works. So EOS is one of those things. Financials is just one of the things EOS can provide clarity for, right? I mean, it is a holistic approach to providing clarity of where you're going. But I know, like today, we're talking about the financial side of it. So how does that get structured when it comes to even like org chart wise or responsibility wise? Who in this EOS model takes on the role of being responsible for the finances the most, or how does that normally work, or how you suggest it to work?
Well, I want to start by saying that I think that we need to understand that most businesses, we're going to operate from the idea that we really just have a handful of major functions of our business. We've got to go out and we got to do sales marketing. So we've got to go and attract and bring in and turn that opportunity into clients. We've got to deliver our product or service that we promised. And then, of course, we've got to collect the money and pay the bills and that sort of thing. And so if we simplify it down to just three major functions, I would ask you, which one of those do you think is most important? It's a trick question because they're all important. And so I've heard all the answers. I've heard people say, "Oh no, sales. It's sale. If we get sales right, it'll take care of everything else." Well, that's not true. Let's prove that out. Let's just say we've got a company where sales is strong, and heck, maybe our delivery is strong. We're doing a good job, but our finance is weak. What happens to the company? Well, maybe we're doing $1 million in revenue, but we're spending 1.2. If your finance function is weak, you're going to fail. Now, the same thing is true. If sales is strong and delivery is weak and finance is strong, well, then what happens? Well, we go out and we sell a lot of stuff, but then we've overpromised and we've underdelivered and we're going to lose people out the back door because we're not delivering upon our promises, even if finance is strong. And then, of course, if sales is weak and finance is strong and operations is strong, now we're all sitting around waiting to do some work because nobody's selling
Yeah.
anything. And so we operate from the premise that all of our major functions in our accountability chart have to be strong, or we can't have a weakness there. And so when we map out the accountability chart for a company, Drew, what we do is we map out, what does this company need to look like for us to be successful? Not today, but 6 or 12 months from now. What does this company need to look like? And when we map out all the major functions, then we map out all the roles and responsibilities, and then we can start to putting right people in the right seats. People who we love and people who fit our core values and people who are great at their jobs. We put them in their seats. And what happens for most entrepreneurs, and I'm pretty sure you know this, it probably happened to you, when we build our accountability chart, your name goes in a lot of boxes. Okay. Because the truth is, we all kind of think, oh, I'm just the CEO. I'm doing all these things. But the truth is, you're actually sitting in several major functions of your business.
Hmm.
And when you think about how much time you have available, now you got to start asking yourself, how much time of my available time should I be spending in finance? How much time of my available time should I be doing sales? Because you only have 100% of your available time. So one of those or several of those were going to be weaker than they could be if you had somebody sitting in that spot full time. And so just understanding that and seeing it on paper for the very first time, I tell my clients, like, sometimes when we do our accountability chart, it's the very first time that you can see the pain that you feel.
Mm.
And so mapping out the company, what it should look like versus what it actually looks like, is just one of those opportunities for us to spot the challenges or obstacles or issues that we have in our business. Let's put that on our issues list. Let's figure out when and how we're going to solve that. So, who's responsible for finance? I want the person that gets it, that wants it, and has capacity to do that job well.
Yeah, it's as simple as that, right? Yeah, love it. Well, you kind of started going into the next direction I wanted to go to was kind of the idea of the power of getting out of that day to day, which in the cleaning world is a very hot topic. Going from technician to owner is a hard pivot for a lot of people in this industry. The same way it is in a lot of other industries as well. But you work with a lot of owners who are probably in that deep technician mode, or they still mentally are, or maybe they physically are as well. They're still in the field, still putting out fires. They're still the bottleneck for like every decision that needs to be made in their business. From your perspective, after decades of running your own company and now coaching others, what shifts when an owner stops running the business with adrenaline and starts running it with intention? Because those are two very different things.
That's a great question. So one of the things that we try and get our owners and leadership teams and visionaries to do is to sort of let go of the vine. I mean, we've got to let go. And I know all of us, I know everyone listening here thinks that they're the best one to do that job. They think they're the only one that can do that job. And I think a lot of us think that. And nobody can do it better than you. Nobody cares about it as much as you. And that's possibly true, but not always true. There are people out there that they play at the things you struggle with. Like they love, for example, accounting is one of those things for me. I don't
Mhm.
love accounting and I'm not great at it. I have a CPA accountant who loves that sort of work and she's great at it. And so when I can take that pressure off of me, it frees me up to do the big visionary things like building big relationships and solving big problems and coming up with the big ideas and spending time on stages and building uh, uh, joint venture partnerships and that sort of thing. And so when you map out all of the things that you touch in a regular day, there's an opportunity for you to look at each one of those and ask yourself, is that the highest dollar value use of my time? Is me, if you're running a cleaning company, and I'm not going to guess at the hourly wage or anything like that, but let's just say you were paying your technicians, I don't know, $15 an hour.
Mhm.
Every time you become a technician, you've just lowered your hourly rate to $15 an hour when
Mhm.
you should be doing the high dollar tasks of building this company, building the vision, building the culture, building big relationships, speaking on stages, making big connections. You don't want to spend yourself in that. And again, it's not a hierarchy of who's more important or who's more valuable. It's about doing the work that you love to do and you're great at versus doing the work that maybe you don't love and you're not that great at anyway. And so it's really important that we as a company are using our resources. Again, we only have 100% available time. And for some of us, that's 40 hours a week. For some of us, it's 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
But whatever that is, you still have a capacity. We need to use as much of that capacity in doing the highest dollar value activity that we can. That way we can pay somebody to do the work that
Yeah.
helps us grow and scale.
100%. Let's talk about for someone who is in that $500,000 to maybe $2 million range, or in the cleaning industry, we know as that is the stage where chaos is peaking a lot of times. What core EOS components need to be in place to help them climb out of those weeds and into true leadership?
Very good. We in EOS believe that all entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurial leaders tend to be wrestling with 136 simultaneous issues, right? And to the
Is that an
extent
exact
that,
number, or was there like an
yeah,
exaggeration there?
well, there's only 136
I was
issues
gonna say it's
possible in the history of
scientific,
business.
very exact. Yeah.
That's a number that Gino came up with. That's a number he loves. And we say that we're dealing with 136
Yeah.
simultaneous issues.
Let's start with number one. Let's go through all of those issues.
But to the extent, Drew, that we can actually strengthen just 6 key components of our business, those 136 simultaneous issues fall into place because they're just symptoms of a real root cause. They're symptoms of not having the right people in the right seats. They are symptoms of not having everybody on the same page about your vision of where we're going. It's symptoms of not having running your business on good data. It's a symptom of not being able to solve the issues as we go. And so those 6 key components, again, really quickly, are our vision component, getting 100% on the same page with where we're going, how we're going to get there. We have a people component. We got to make sure that we have all the right people in the right seats. We have a data component, which means we're going to run our business on facts and figures and numbers and not emotions and subjective decision-making that often drives these young entrepreneurial companies.
Vibes, as the kids call it
Yeah.
these days. We're not going to run on
Vibes.
vibes.
Yeah, we're running on vibes. Love it. We are going to get better at, so when we strengthen our vision component, our people component, and our data component, our businesses will become even more transparent, and all of those obstacles and challenges and issues and problems and, opportunities, they'll start to just jump out at us. And so we help you get stronger at your issues component, which is taking all of those problems and challenges and obstacles, prioritizing them, solving them at the root so they actually go away. And then we got to make sure that we're strengthening our data component. Our data component is about, making sure that anybody who touches one of our core processes is doing it the right way and the best way every time. And then, of course, we got to bring all of this down to the ground and execute on it with discipline and accountability with our traction component. And that's really about, how do we, I'll say for most entrepreneurs, our vision goes unrealized because of a weakness in our traction component. The ability to actually get that stuff done and move forward is hard for some of us visionary people.
Yep.
So if we can strengthen those 6 key components, those 136 issues kind of fall into place. Again, they're just symptoms of being weak in one of those other 6.
Makes complete sense. And even more specifically on the financial side, how does gaining clarity around profit, cash flow drivers, true margins play into that leadership transition as well? I think you've helped obviously a lot of owners realize that they're not actually as profitable as maybe they assumed. That's some scary clarity that can come into jumping into EOS. What happens when they finally start seeing those numbers clearly? Whether it's financial numbers or maybe just even KPIs inside their business. What happens after that?
Well, I think it's really important to, again, we've talked about this a lot, but what can be measured to be improved. And one of the things that you don't want to do is necessarily look at your numbers every quarter. We want to give you opportunity to spot these trends and opportunities like weekly to see, hey, we didn't get enough phone calls this week, or we don't have enough leads this week, or we haven't picked up the phone as many times as we wanted this week, or we haven't done the proactive outreach to our clients that we needed to do this week. Or I want you to see it on a weekly basis so that we have an opportunity to solve it before the end of the month. Because if you only look at, like, if you just need like 10 new clients this month and we look at the end of the month and we say, how'd we do? Well, what if you find out at the end of the month, you've only gotten 1?
Yeah,
And
you
so
can't fix it. It's too late. Yeah.
you can't fix it. It's too late. And so it's really important for us to use really good scorecards and metrics and KPIs to lead the company. And the way that I sort of see it, Drew, is it's a little bit like the dashboard in your car. You jump in your car in the morning, you put your keys in, you turn on the ignition. That dashboard gives you some information. It tells you like, hey, do I have enough gas to get where I need to go? It tells me, are my tires inflated properly? It might tell me if I need an oil change or not. It tells me how many miles are on the car. Sometimes it tells me the check engine light's on. Now, if that check engine light's on, now, to be fair, we could probably drive the car for a while. I don't recommend it. So what are you going to do? Are you going to ignore the check engine light and you're going to drive the car? Or are you going to go, hey, there's an issue in my business that I'm seeing here in this weekly scorecard that needs to be fixed. So let's go diagnose it. Let's go figure out why our number's off here. And let's solve it now so it doesn't hit our bottom line by the end of the month.
Love that. Once again, rolling right into the next section on my notes. talking about, vision, accountability, real traction. One of the most well-known EOS tools is that vision traction organizer. And really putting things on paper. I think you've helped a lot of teams get their entire company aligned on a single page, which is a crazy thought to someone who has not seen something like this or gone through this process, but it's true. How does something so simple create such massive clarity? And maybe for those listening, let's talk about that VTO a little bit more so they fully know what we're talking about. But how does it provide such clarity, including financial clarity?
I will say that when Gino created EOS, he saw a difference between like I don't know if you go to if you heck you could go to the best business school in the country, you get your MBA. I think it's going to teach you how to run a job in corporate America. I don't know that it gives you the
Mm,
skills to run a small business. I think you and I can agree that there are different skills required to run a business of 10,000 people than it is to run a business of 100 or 50 or 20.
sure.
And so everything about EOS is designed to simplify all of those processes. And so when we try and get you aligned on your vision, we don't do some 40-page strategic plan that we're not going to take a 3 to 5 year shot at this thing. We do something pretty complex. We get in a room together and we answer 8 questions, right? And so, and we keep the answers to those questions on a simple
There it is. Yeah.
2-page document. It's called the Vision Traction Organizer. I'll call it the VTO for short. And the questions on that are really about clarifying your vision and making sure that we're all 100% on the same page with where we're going, how we're going to get there. And the problem is that you guys don't have vision in your companies. It's just that each of the members of the leadership team has a little different version of it in their heads. So we don't have clarity about where we're going. And I don't know, maybe we're not all rowing in the same direction. Maybe we're not all rowing in the same cadence. Maybe some of us are in the back of the boat rowing the other direction. And
Mm.
so getting clarity on where you're headed and how you're going to get there is really important. So when we get together to answer those 8 questions, I'll share with you what those are. Um, Number one, we want to know, what are our core values? What are the essential set of guiding principles that define what it means to be a good employee here? What are the characteristics that we want all of our employees to exhibit to feel like, man, they're a part of our team. We love them and we love what they do. Number two, I want to know, what is our core focus? What is it that we do? What's our purpose, our cause, our passion? It's been called a mission statement. It's been called a vision statement. Stephen Covey calls it your voice. Jim
Mhm.
Collins calls it your hedgehog concept. We just call it your core focus because it comes from your core. And so what is our core focus and what is our purpose and our cause and our passion? And so we want to know, why do we exist? We know who we are with our core values. We know why we exist with our core focus. Then I want to know where we're going. This is where we set our core target or a 10-year target. So we set a big, hairy, audacious goal for the company so that we can all be aligned around, where are we headed long term. So when things get hard, we can go, hey, remember, guys, we're on this mission together. We're going
Yeah.
here. Once we get the answer to those 3 questions, we move on to your marketing strategy. And so we define marketing in EOS it's quite simple. I want to know, who should we talk to and what should we say to them to get the biggest bang for our buck. And so we're going to identify the characteristics of the ideal prospect, their geographic, their demographic, and their psychographic profile. And then the next part of our marketing strategy is to simplify our message to them. Okay? What are we going to say to them? If we have our ideal prospect in the room, how can I quickly distinguish ourselves or separate ourselves from our competitors?
Mm.
Once we have a marketing strategy in place, we're going to move on. We're going to build out a 3-year picture. We're going to start to crystallize and visualize exactly what this company looks like 3 years from now. Because if we can all see it, the odds of us achieving it are just significantly greater. And so we're going to map out, where are we going to be in revenue? What's our profit and our measurables? What are those going to be? And then we're going to write down, what does it look like? I want to know exactly what this company looks like. I want to know how many team members. I want to know, what are our benefits look like? What's our weekends look like? What's the culture look like here? And we're gonna visualize, and we're gonna close our eyes. We're gonna see it. We're gonna taste it. We're gonna smell it. Again, because if you guys can all see that in your mind's eye, the odds of achieving it are greater. Then we're going to take that 3-year picture and we're going to break it down into a 1-year plan. We're going to start bringing this thing down to the ground and actually planning out the next year. We're going to set revenue and profit measurable goals again. And then we're going to set 3 to 7 aligned company goals for the next year. What do we need to accomplish this year in this company to be on track to hit our 3-year picture? And I said 3 to 7 goals, not 37 goals, right? Because when everything's important, nothing's important.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get aligned 3 to 7 company goals. Then we're going to move on and we're going to break it down even further. When I say, what's our 90-day plan? What are the rocks? What are the big rocks that we must get done in the next 90 days that move us towards that vision that we've created? Okay. Then the last thing and the last item on is our issues. What are the big problems? What are the challenges? What are the things that are holding us back, preventing us from achieving our goals, ticking us off, whatever that is? Let's itemize those things. Let's get them out of our heads. Let's get them onto paper. Let's make them part of our strategic plan so that we can have that little bit of therapy of getting those things out there and onto paper. So we store all of that information right here in a 2-page document. And it's really cool to take this from quarter to quarter and say, hey, this was our plan. This was our goal. How'd we do? What can we learn from that? Remember, this is our big vision. Let's get back on the same page. And we create a 90-day world in your organization so that we're always working towards 90-day goals. Okay. So that's the VTO, man. If you guys can get that together in your business, it's one of the most powerful tools in EOS. And whether you work with an implementer or not, you go to EOS Worldwide, download the free tools, fill out your vision traction organizer with your team, and do it together with your leadership team. It's more powerful if you do it together.
And the VTO is awesome. But what happens next, I think, is where it gets tricky. And you set these big goals, and like you said, we mentioned before, you're not going to just be able to do all of this by yourself. Like, delegation is going to have to happen. Like, assignments of responsibilities is going to have to happen. And I think a lot of people get stuck on that. I think I keep saying you've coached teams and companies around the world. What's one of the biggest mistakes you see owners making when they first try to start delegating? And like, what do you see falling through the cracks due to that? I mean, I think we talked a little bit about, like, they delegate, but they also still hold on. Maybe like 2 fingers were let go and they still got the other 3, or maybe their thumb is wrapped around or something like that. But like, what are some things you see start to fall through the cracks when that owner does start to delegate at first?
Well, I think you got to kind of ask yourself, what kind of manager are you? Are you going to lead this team well? Are you going to manage them well? Are you going to actually clarify the role and responsibility in such a way that it's absolutely clear what needs to be done? You're going to give them the opportunity, the training and the time that they need to understand that job well. And then, of course, you got to get out of their way and let them do the work. Of course, you'll hold them accountable to make sure it gets done. But one of the things that we can tell our clients jokingly is that, like, if you don't have somebody in the seat below you that you can delegate to, which means they don't get it, they don't want it, and they don't have capacity to do it, well, then you can't delegate to them. We got a people problem first. We got to solve the people problem. Like, again, jokingly, I say, like, if they can't swim, don't throw them a rock.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to bury them with some extra work that they can't do and don't have the ability to do. So it's really important that the person that you're delegating to gets it, they want it, and they have capacity to do it. And so really clarifying what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and how it's going to be measured is really important. But then you got to trust your people. You got to trust your people, got to give them the work. You got to let them go do the work that they do. People will grow into a challenge if you let them.
Love that. Continuing just that topic of people, I think EOS touts like people plus process equals profitable growth. EOS leans heavily on the idea of the right people in the right seats, right? From your work in agencies as well as other like businesses around the world, why is it so critical to you to get the structure right before you try to scale? Because a lot of times, I mean, I'm the visionary. It's like, I don't know, let's jump out of the plane, build the parachute on the way down. Like, that's how I look at things. Thank God. My wife is my life partner as well as my business partner, and she's the opposite. She's got like 4 test models of that parachute on board before we jump off. But tell me why that matters so much, because a lot of times I think people get to that point where they're like, oh, I could scale this thing. They got there through that chaos and figuring out as you go. But when you are ready to scale, why is it important to have as many ducks in a row before you do that?
Again, it's really important to understand where the best use of your time is and where you're most valuable. I think it's really important for you to be clear on what this company needs to look like in the future. And so when we map that accountability chart and we set you up as the visionary, quite often you'll sit in more than one spot. You might be in the visionary seat. Heck, you might still be running the sales and marketing department. I don't know. And you're probably in charge of finance at some point. What we have to do is we have to really get some understanding around which of those you're willing to let go of, which of those can we hand off. And so, again, this is just about the available time that you have. Okay. There's only 100% of your hours available.
Mm,
You might be a 40-hour person, you might be an 80-hour, you might be a 60-hour person. But if you're looking at your accountability chart and you're let's say you're a 60-hour person a week, or you're a 50-hour person a week, and you're looking at your accountability chart and you see 60 hours worth of work a week, you're 20% over your capacity,
mm,
right? And so we've got to figure out, how do we delegate off that 20% of the work? Because remember, first thing I said was all of our major functions have to be strong. And if you don't have the time to do that function well, it can't be strong. So how do we delegate that off to somebody else? And to do that, I want to give them clarity. I want to map out the role and responsibility. I want to map out the 4 or 5 things that they should be focused on every second, every minute, every hour of every day. I want to tell them how to do that job well. So here are the things you need to focus on. Here's an SOP on how to do that well. And here's the KPI measurable on how you're going to be measured. What a gift that is to an employee, is to hand them a role where everything is clear.
yeah.
Because think of the opposite of that. What if you just hire somebody and say, "Hey, you're now my director of operations. Go get it." Like, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. I've done it. I hired a girl one time from another marketing agency. One of my team members said, "Hey, I know a girl who's at a marketing agency. She's looking to leave there, and she's really great." I'm like, "Great, let me hire her." And I hired her, and within a month, she came to me and she said, "Lynn, I don't feel valuable here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I went and found another job."
Mm,
I didn't spend the time with her that I should have. This is pre-EOS for me, obviously.
yeah.
But guys, we got to give your team members clarity, and we've got to get them to buy into our vision and our mission. And so it's really important to have that structure in place, because if you don't, yeah, we can go a long ways without structure. But if you really want to scale and you want the true freedom of doing what you love with people that you love, making a big difference, being appropriately compensated, and having time for other things, you have to have structure.
For sure. And some tools that EOS uses to help create that structure and create that clarity are the level 10 meetings, which are, weekly, very organized and structured meetings with leadership teams, rocks, which are those quarterly goals that we talked about earlier, as well as the scorecard. All of those have potential to tie into financial leadership or stewardship. How do these rhythms help teams stay focused on profitability on that weekly cadence? Or how could they?
Perfect. Perfect. So when we talk about the meeting pulse in EOS, what we're talking about really is all of the different meetings in EOS. And so when I talk about the meeting pulse, what we prescribe is that we're going to get together for a 2-day annual. We're going to get together for a quarterly each quarter. So that's 5 sessions a year.
Mm,
Now, between those sessions, we got to get the team actually pulsing together and holding each other accountable. And so between those quarters, what we ask is, we ask the leadership team to run a weekly level 10 meeting. And in that level 10 meeting, we're pulsing every week, and we're looking at all the most important things in our business. So we're looking at our scorecard metrics, and we're asking ourselves, hey, are we on track? And are we having a good week in sales or bad week in sales? Are we having a good week in finance or a bad week in finance? Are we having a good week in customer service or a bad week in customer service? And as we look at those numbers on a weekly basis, again, we have the opportunity to improve and change, because each of the metrics or measurables in the scorecard should correspond to some goal we've set for ourselves.
yeah.
Okay. And so we've just broken that goal down into a weekly pulse. Now, weekly, we're getting together, we're checking on that pulse and making sure we're holding everybody accountable to doing that work. If we're not, or if there's an issue, we're dropping that down to the issues list and we're solving it that week so that we can actually make progress next week. And we're pulsing on a regular basis. This is what gives you that consistency and discipline of knowing your numbers, knowing your metrics, knowing your finances, and having that control weekly. So we're not just looking at our finances every quarter, wondering if we're doing okay.
Love it. Very cool. I mentioned up top that you're also a certified exit planning advisor, and I think that's an interesting angle that you get to sit in, or another interesting seat that you get to sit in on just the topic of finances. How do you help leaders set and actually hit profitability goals instead of chasing revenue only vanity metrics? Because if you're looking to sell your business, you're not going to find somebody who's just interested in your revenue number. They're going to be looking at the EBITDA, they're going to be looking at your profit, they're going to be looking at profit margins. How do you coach someone who has been taught or has been influenced that top line matters a lot more than bottom, and get them to see, if you're looking to exit, it's really that bottom line that matters the most?
Well, I think it's really important, if you're thinking of exit, or if you're thinking of exit planning, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, there's some opportunity for you to sort of discover what that would look like, prepare for an exit, and then build your company in such a way that at some point you get to decide, do I want to exit or do I want to keep it? Have I built this way in a way that, heck, I might want to keep this thing? It's great. And so we got to identify the value in your business. We got to identify your attractiveness and readiness for sale. We've got to figure out what are our gaps. What are the gaps in our processes? Because when you think about, people talk about EBITDA a lot, and it's the kind of the metric or measurable that they take times the multiple to kind of determine what the value of the business is.
Yeah.
But a multiple is usually a range. And so let's just say you've got a range, you could sell between 3x and 6x. Well, you actually don't control that multiple in your industry. Most industries are pretty standard. Marketing agencies sell between this and this X revenue. But what you do control is, where do you fall in that scale? Are you a 3X company or are you a 6X company? And there are things like revenue that's really important, but there's also some intangible capitals.
Mm.
There's also things like, do I have great structure here? Do I have great people here? Do I have great, you know, clients here? Is all my money coming in from one particular client? Is it really, really heavy on that one client? And I got a bunch of little ones. And so there's a bunch of things like, again, human capital, structural capital, there's social capital around your business, around what's this culture like? If you leave, does your team stay together? Do they believe in the mission and vision so much? And then again, customer capital is things like making sure that all of our money isn't coming from one client. So those four things, again, human, structural, social, and customer capital, are controllable. Those are things that when we put EOS in place, we build great human capital. We build great team members. We build great leadership. We build great structural capital by making sure that this company's running really well without the owner. We're building great social capital with our clients and our teams and in our communities. And then, of course, we're building great customer capital. We have great relationships with contracts with people that love us and want to do work with us. And so planning out your exit is a pretty good process. I mean, I've seen companies sell really quickly, but if you want to do it right and you want to maximize the value of your company, we should probably start thinking about it now. What's the expression? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years
Yesterday.
ago. Second best time is
Yeah.
today. Yeah. The idea of this is, there is a range of value your company gets sold for. Let's work towards getting on that higher end of that. EOS
Love
is
that.
just a huge part of that. It's one of the ways to solve some of those intangible capital issues that you have.
Very cool. I do find it funny. You put two visionaries on a podcast, talk a lot about EOS, and we have yet to mention the integrator role yet, and the importance of that integrator role. But when it comes to the finances, I think this is a question a lot of people have too, especially if that I mean, I'm in a unique situation. My wife is the integrator in our company, so like nothing is don't even want to say hidden, but like the integrator has access to everything, obviously in our company because she's the owner as well. But that's not always the case. What financially, what do you suggest the integrator being in on when it comes to the financials of the business? Are there certain things that the owner should, only keep to themselves? How does that integrator role, play into like the finances of the business, and what all should they be involved in and what all should they not be involved in?
I will tell you in a pure integrator sense, and if we're talking about an integrator, I see them as the second in command. I see
Mhm.
them as we don't really use C-suite terms, but they are the chief operating officer. They're responsible for the profit and loss of this business. They're responsible for executing on the company vision. A lot of that, the P&L and stuff falls right on the integrator in a pure EOS thing. Now, I understand that's not always the case. I understand in smaller companies, it's a little harder to sort of let go of some of that financial control. But the more you can share that, we say our target market in EOS is entrepreneurial companies who are willing to be open and honest with the people around them. Like, we need to be open and honest about our finances on where we are and what our profit is and those sort of things. I think that's really important, especially the integrator visionary relationship. There's a great book called Rocket Fuel that really describes that relationship well. If you're interested in how that plays out, that's a great book to read. Um, I believe that your visionary integrator should have same page meetings every week, and you guys should make sure that we're on the same page about where we're going. Um, that allows the visionary to go and do their big visionary stuff, to have the big ideas, to build the big relationships. That high dollar stuff that most of us that would sit in an integrator role aren't great at. But it allows the integrator to do this stuff that the visionary is not great at, which is actually getting
Mhm.
this work done and running this company well. And so ultimately, I'm hoping, and I coach my teams to share revenue numbers. Let's share revenue. Let's share profits. Some do. Uh, a very small minority of my teams do not. But when we're in this together and we have these goals, I think it's really important that we share those things. And I will tell you this. I saw a quote one time. I think it was Ed Milet. He said, "I have to build my dreams so large that all of your dreams can fit inside of it." And
Mm.
that's the approach that I took with my team. I would share with them, like, we want to grow to $10 million. And to some of my team members in the Philippines or Bangladesh or Pakistan, that didn't mean a whole lot.
Mm.
But what they did understand is that if I could build my dreams that big, all of their dreams could come true also. And so, we launched a dream manager position. So we wanted to understand what everybody's dreams were so that we could help them achieve them. We launched uh, an initiative to, um, I'm trying to think. We did sabbaticals, and so we worked 7 weeks and have a week off. So
Mm.
everybody had a forced week off every 7 weeks. And so those are the kind of things that we can do to build a great culture when we have the revenue that we need.
I love that. That quote just rocked my world today. That was It's awesome. Very cool. I think a lot of times in this podcast season so far, we've talked about how hard it is to have a fast growing business. And a big struggle, I think, for fast growing businesses is revenue is up. Those vanity numbers that we were talking about, right? That classic revenue is for vanity, profits for sanity. Revenue is up, but the bank account is not. What is your advice to a business owner feeling that way right now? And how do we get unstuck from vanity wise, we're crushing it. But that bank account gets scary every time payroll comes around.
I think everyone goes through this. I would be surprised if businesses don't go through this at some point. We say in EOS that no business grows in a straight line.
Mm.
We go through periods of evolution or revolution. So we grow, we hit a ceiling, we have to fight through that ceiling. We evolve, we have a little revolution there, and then we can bust through that ceiling. I will tell you that I think it was probably 2000, 2001, 2002. I read the book E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And that book really, man, it described me. I'm like, man, did my secretary write this? Like, I thought she was talking about me because it described a business owner who started a business because they were doing something they loved and they started to grow. And as they grew, they started to almost outgrow themselves, and
Mm.
they would look around at the company and they would go, man, I was making more money. For me, I was making more money than it was just me back in my house. And now I had a warehouse in Las Vegas with 15 employees, and I didn't know how I was going to make payroll on Fridays. We were doing nearly $1 million in revenue, you know? And for most entrepreneurs and business owners at that point, they get small again, and they go, man, like, move back in my, and I did that. This is pre-EOS for me. I didn't understand that if I had just put the right systems in place, if I had just got a little stronger, smarter in those 6 key components, I could have continued to grow that business. Ultimately, your profit percentage, we could do more work based on the number of team we had.
Yeah.
It wasn't parallel. And so we could increase revenue without increasing overhead, but only after a certain point, and we hadn't hit that point yet. And so I was just feeling like, man, this is so hard. But I will tell you that if we do this right, there is an opportunity for you and your family to build generational wealth around your company by growing smartly and properly to a point where we're profitable. I mean, and profit is a huge deal. I mean, if we're not profitable, why are we doing this?
Hmm.
What's the point if we're not going to be profitable? We're a for-profit business. I tell my clients, like, hey, we got to be careful. We can't become one of those accidental nonprofits, right? We actually have to be profitable here, and it's profit is not a dirty word. It's not a bad word.
No, not at all. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Lynn. I appreciate your time here on the show. I've been ending these episodes with what I call like a 60-second like elevator speech or a 60-second pep talk. So let's imagine you're with a business owner listening right now. They're exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They feel like business is running them instead of the other way around. You've got 60 seconds with them. What do you tell them? I'm not actually going to start a clock either, by the way. It's kind of like figure of speech. Yeah.
What I will say is this: you can run your business on guesswork, you can run your business on hard work, or you can run your business on a framework. Running your business on guesswork and hard work is doable, but it's hard. Running your business on a framework will give you structure that you need, eventually getting you the freedom that you imagined when you first started this business. We all thought we were going to have this extra free time. We thought we were going to have our weekends free. We all thought we were going to have extra money. For most of us, it's entirely not the case. I used to tell people jokingly all the time that if you run a business, you only have to work half a day if you own your own business.
12
You can
hours.
do anything you want with the other 12 hours, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I put in a lot of
Part
12 and
time. You're
14 and
part time.
16-hour days. Yeah, only half the day. Uh, Guys, run your business on a framework. I don't care if it's EOS, and there's others out there, but have a system or a structure that allows you and your team to all come together, get all aligned on the same page, rowing in the same direction, again, hopefully in the same cadence, and then we're all working towards a common goal. And if you can get the right people in the right seats, man, the sky's the limit.
That's the magic, right? Love it. Very cool. Hey, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today. It's been very practical and eye opening all at the same time. So, thank you for sharing your insight and experience. For listeners who want to learn more about EOS or explore working directly with you, where should they go? How do they find out more?
Super easy to find. I'm sure we can put a link in the show notes, but if you just go to, I think I'm the only Lynn Askin on the planet, so I believe I'm pretty easy to find.
Man,
If you type my name into any of the search boxes, you'll land on either my personal website, my EOS website, my Facebook page, my LinkedIn. You can connect with me on any of those. You can send me an email at lynn.askin@eosworldwide.com. Happy to jump on a call with you. Happy to spend 90 minutes with you and your team and exploring to see if EOS is a great fit for you or not. So let me know if that is something that you want to do. Just what I'm looking for here is to make sure that you get the right fit. If it's not me, sometimes it's not. I have a network of other EOS implementers who may be a better fit for you. They may be in your backyard. They may be a lower price point than me. If EOS is important to you, I can help you make sure that you get it in place, whether it's with me or it's with one of my other super professional colleagues.
Awesome. Sounds good. And if today's been maybe a home run for you or it hit home for you, send it to another business owner who's maybe stuck in the same chaos that you're feeling. If there's one thing I do know about this residential cleaning industry and the cleaning industry as a whole, it is one of the most tight knit industries I've ever been a part of. So I know if it's meaning something to you, you probably have 5, 6, 7, 8 other people you know that it would hit home for them as well. Because we do know when you build a business on clarity and systems, you get to lead with confidence and you get your life back. So thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.